Okay, so let me explain what you're going to be working on today. So I'm going to start with the the assignment for today. Okay, so I can start from the beginning with you. Okay, so when you go to your Google Classroom, I'm just choosing the 8th period. Doesn't matter which one. First of all, on the screen, I was not able to attend the first 4 classes. That's why I'm creating this video to help you out. Um, but there's the notes, and then I'm going to explain all these notes by giving you examples. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. Open your notes up and have them ready. Of course, you also have the option to you have the option to today's 10, 12, 21. Okay, so yeah, we have here today we'll be learning about some rules to add and subtract integers. Please click on the following Jamboard. So this is a Jamboard. This is where all the notes are. Also, you can click on it, and all your notes for today are here. It explains what rule it is. So if the signs is the same, I will add and keep the sign. Uh, then I give some examples. I draw some number lines you can see. Then we have the next rule by clicking on here. These are frames. They're like slides. So you can actually just move to the next page. So here we have the second rule, which is the signs are different. I'm going to subtract and keep the greatest absolute value. And I'll explain all this. That little 2 bars, remember that was the symbol for absolute value. If you forgot what absolute value, I did write it here. So, okay, so the signs are different. I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to keep the greatest absolute value. Absolute value is how far you're from zero, basically, in the number line. So basically, the integer that's farthest from zero, that's the sign we keep. And I will explain all this in a minute. Okay. Uh, I give more examples. Now it's all mixed. Okay. And then the fourth page is right now empty because I'm going to continue giving you notes. So that's your Jamboard. Now your HyperDoc for today is going to work the same way. In your HyperDoc, it'll tell you what you're learning. You're going to be learning how to add and subtract integer numbers fluently. And hopefully you'll be able to add integers by using integer rules, by generating number lines, or using integer chips. Okay, and I'm going to explain what all that is. What method can I use for adding and subtracting integers, and how can I use a number line to help me add and subtract integers? So hopefully by the end of the period you'll know what to do. You're gonna write your name, your last name, your ID, your period. I'm choosing 8th period just so you can see. And the first is a video that explains all that I'm explaining right now here. So you actually can watch the video. Once you're done with the video, you do have to write a paragraph. You have to write a paragraph. Okay, write a paragraph. Now this is worth 20 points, so you don't want to mess up. So at the beginning, you can just type "I learned." Today, I learned about. Let's just leave it like that for now. This will be for homework, so you're gonna watch the video and then you're gonna continue typing your paragraph about the rules that I taught you in the video and that I'm teaching you right now. So you can actually wait until the end of this video and then go type. But at the beginning, you have to type a little bit just so we can go to the next page. And that's when I let you go. Once you watch this video or the video, you will know if this is true or false. Again, each of them is worth 10 points. Make sure that you watch the video and you listen to the lesson for today. If not, you're not gonna know how to answer these 2 questions. Then we have here a catchy song that will help you remember the rules of integers. Okay, so I would definitely want to watch that song, watch the video, and you kind of go over what I'm going to go over in a minute. Once you're done with that, then you have your Jamboard again. In case you didn't open it, you can actually open it because then you're gonna have to now work on the following problems for homework also. There's 6 more questions. You have to work on this in your homework journal, like always. Okay. So the first one is -7 plus 4. So that's the first problem. -7 plus 4. The next problem is -15 plus 8. negative 5 plus negative 7, negative 9 minus 8, negative 18 plus 24, 3 minus 7, okay? Once you're done, you're going to click submit, and that's it. That's your homework for today, okay? Now what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to play the video that I have already ready, and I'm just going to kind of like do a voiceover because the video did not work with the voice. So I'm going to kind of like play this video, and basically this is the Jamboard that I just discussed, but I'm going to give you some examples right now so you can understand what to do. Okay, so I'm going to start with the rule number 1 is if the signs are the same, I will add and keep the sign. So I'm going to explain right now the first rule. Let me forward this so you can see the first rule. So rule number 1 is if the signs are the same, I'm going to add and keep the sign the same. So I'm going to give you an actual example right now so you can actually see. So let's say I have negative 3 plus negative 4. If you notice, the negative 3, obviously that's a negative number, right? A negative integer. So I like for kids to label a letter N on top so you know, okay, that guy is a negative. Now the negative 4 would also be another integer that's negative. So if you notice we have two N's there. They're both negatives. Since they're both negative, I'm going to have to add and keep it negative. So 3 plus 4 obviously would be 7. And since both of them were negative, I'm going to keep a negative. That would be my answer. Now to prove that this method works, or that my little rule that I call rule number 1, which states if the signs are the same, you add and keep. I'm going to draw a number line now. And you can see in the number line why we add and keep. So if you notice, I put only 1 on the positive side because I already noticed that my expression only had negatives. So I'm going to just put a couple of negatives there. Okay. And now I want you to notice there. Okay, I think I forgot a negative there, but that 7 is a negative, obviously. I want you to know that I always start at 0, and I lost 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we lost 3. So that's your first integer, which is this guy here. Okay? But then I lost 4 more. Okay? So I'm going to mark a little mark on top here, and I'm going to lose 4 more. So I always begin at 0, and now we stopped at negative 3, but I lost 4 more, so I'm going to lose 4 more. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So my final stop after losing 4 more is at negative 7, so I can go ahead and graph that by drawing a little point there at negative 7, and that obviously would be my answer. Okay, there it is. I'm graphing the point, and this is the answer, which matches what we already got. This is just another way you can actually solve this problem by using the rule. Okay, by using a number line to show you that the rule works. Okay, another way is doing an integer chip table. Okay, so we have a negative chip and a positive chip. If you notice, the first number is negative 3, so we have 3 negative chips. So I can go ahead on the side of the negative, draw my 3 negative chips. But then I have 4 more that are negative, so I'm going to go ahead and draw 4 more. Okay, once I draw those 4, I know that I only have negatives, so my final answer has to stay negative 7, which matches that. So that's an example of rule number 1. Now I'm going to do another example here for you, just in case you're still a little confused. The main thing is to follow the rules. Okay, if the signs are the same, you always add and keep the sign. So since both of them are negative, that's why we added and kept the negative. Okay. Let me go to the next one so you can see. Again, I'm gonna write my rule. If the signs are the same, I'm gonna add and keep. I drew too many E's, but there it is. Okay. So this time we have a 5 plus 3. Obviously, both of them are positive, so you're going to have 8. Since both of them are positive, it's going to stay positive. Now, in math, we don't have to put the little plus sign. If I don't put the little plus sign, automatically it's a positive answer. Okay, so I don't have to put the little plus sign. So this is basically what we've done in elementary. I mean, if both of them are positive, then the answer is going to stay positive. So I will not have to do much here. I mean, it's really simple. So that's why I'm not going to draw a number line on that one. Let's try this one. Now this one is the one a lot of kids tend to mess up because they see that minus. Okay, so when they see that minus right there, that the first one for sure is a negative. Okay, but that three, yeah, it's a positive, but because of that subtraction symbol that's in front, that three becomes a negative. And many kids want to subtract in this problem because they're used to that hey, that's a minus, let me subtract. Okay, and that's a mistake that many kids do. Okay, because they don't want to follow the rule. Now, okay, the rule clearly says that if the signs are the same, I'm gonna add and keep. That three right now, yeah, it's a positive, but because of that minus right there that I'm spotlighting, that minus tells me that I have to call this guy a negative, not a positive. Okay, so since now that I put both of them as negative, now I know it's going to be add and keep. Okay, so once I add and keep, this is a mistake that I let me talk to you about that. Sometimes you guys write the rule, but you still subtract because your mind tells you, hey, that's the minus, I'm gonna subtract. And they make the mistake, the kids make this mistake, they'll go 9 minus 3, 6, and keep it negative. They understand they're going to keep it negative, but the problem is that why did you subtract when the rule says that you're supposed to add? Okay, since both of them are negative, negative, the signs are the same, negative, negative, I should not be subtracting, I should be adding. So the answer should really be negative 12. So that's a mistake that kids make because they see the minus. Make sure that you understand that if I have a minus, if I'm subtracting, that means a loss. And a loss in math means a negative situation. So that 3 is really a negative. Okay, hopefully that does not confuse you. Okay, now what happens when the signs are different? This would be my rule number 2. When the signs are different, we do two things. We're going to subtract and keep the greatest absolute value. Those bars there mean absolute value. So here we have a negative 3 and a positive 4. Obviously, the signs are different. One is negative, one is positive. Because they're different, I'm going to have to first subtract. Because that's what the rule says, that if the signs are different, I'm going to subtract. So the answer is 1. Now, who do I keep? Well, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. The absolute value of positive 4 is 4. So the one that has the greatest absolute value would be the 4. So the answer stays positive. Again, we don't have to put a positive symbol in the front because anytime that there's no symbol, it's automatically positive. I'm going to prove to you that this also works by drawing a number line again. Okay? So if I draw my number line, it's going to show you that first I have to lose 3. And there it is. I lose 3. But then I gain 4. So when you gain, you go into the right. Remember that at the beginning of the year we said that if you're gaining, you are going to the right. If you're losing, you're going to the left. So in this case, I'm gaining 4 more. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And my last stop is at positive 1, which matches my answer. Now, how would I use integer chips here? Okay, so you can draw your integer chip table. We have our negative and we have our positive. Now in this case, we have 3 negatives. So I'm going to draw 3 negatives. And we have 4 positives. So I'm going to draw 4 positives. Now I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to tell you next. When I travel once to the right, that would be a positive change. But then if I lose 1, I'm back at 0. Same thing, if I travel 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I lose 4, I'm back at 0. Those are called zero pairs. Okay? So anytime that you gain 1 but lose 1, you're back at 0. Those are called zero pairs. Basically, this negative and this positive are zero pairs. They're going to cancel each other. Okay? So, let me continue playing here so you can see what I mean. So, if you notice here, I went too fast. you'll find out here that if I have a negative and a positive, so I'm gonna go ahead and circle them because those are called zero pairs. Like I said, if I lose one but I gain one, I'm back at zero basically in the number line. I gain one but I lose one, I'm back at zero. So basically what you do when you have a situation in a circle and say, you know what, that's a zero pair. That's what they call it because they zero out. So they're gone. Then the next one is another zero pair, so it's gone also. Then the next one is also zero pair, so that's gone. And the only thing that's left is that positive 1. So that's why the answer is positive 1. So you can actually see that with my integer table or my number line, I still get the same thing. Okay? This is another one. We have a positive and negative there. Again, the signs are not the same. They're different. So I'm going to subtract and keep the grades absolute value. So the answer would be negative 4. I'm going to do my integer chips so you can see that it still works. So negative, I have 9 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 9. Well, 5 positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And negative, I have 9 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? Remember that you're going to circle the zero pair. That's 1, 2 zero pairs, 3 zero pairs. That means that they're gone. If they're zero, they're gone. They're nothing. So the only thing that's left is 1, 2, 3, 4, which are my negative 4. So again, the rule helped me know it's negative 4 because positive and negative, when the signs are different, I'm going to subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. And I'm going to keep the greatest absolute value, which would be the negative. And that's why the answer is negative 4. Okay? So basically what I just went over, it's right here, the notes again. That's why this guy was negative 5 and negative 4. They're same, add and keep is negative 9. Same, add and keep positive 5. So that's pretty easy. Now this one, they're different, positive, negative, so I'm going to subtract, keep the highest absolute value, which in this case would be negative because the minus turned that 12 into a negative. So the answer would be a negative 5. This guy, the answer will be a positive because the 11 has a greater sense of value. Now this guy is a tricky one because kids are going to think that that's a minus, so they, oh, that's a minus, yeah, but the problem is that he's a negative, and because of that minus, that 5 is a negative. So really, this is not going to be the same rule. You're going to have to use this subtraction problem. You'll notice that the signs are the same, so it's rule number 1, add and keep. So even though it's a subtraction problem, like these were subtraction problems, the problem, since both of them are considered negative, you're not going to subtract and keep the greater. You're going to actually add and keep the same. Okay? So that's just going over that. Then what I do here, a reminder that you have to hit the little arrow right there on top so you can turn the page. So here's some examples. Again, I have to label negative, positive. So the rule is rule number 2, this, subtract, keep the greatest value, then to negative 1. This is again different, they're different. So I'm going to subtract, the answer is set to positive. Then these two are negatives because of that minus, that 1 becomes a negative. So really the signs are the same. So I'm going to add and keep, which is negative 3. And finally we have a negative, negative. Again, the signs are the same. So I'm going to add and keep, which is negative 4. Okay. And all the notes are there in case you're still confused. Then you're going to work on what I already mentioned in the beginning. Okay. Hopefully this helps the ones that were in the morning, but it might help everybody else. Okay. So let me go ahead and stop recording because we're done. Okay. Hopefully you make sure you go home and complete the assignment and submit. Tomorrow I'm going to collect the homework journal to check my 15 questions from last week and my 6 ed puzzle questions, plus these questions that you need to turn into tomorrow. Okay? Have a good day and don't forget to watch the video, please.